Let me ask you something, have you ever been jolted out of sleep in the middle of the night because your leg suddenly tightened, the muscle locking up so painfully that you couldn't move? Or maybe you've watched a parent, a grandparent, or even your spouse stop mid-step, holding onto their leg, wincing in pain, while you stood there wishing you could make it go away. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Leg cramps, especially at night, are one of the most common struggles for older adults. And here's the thing, for seniors it's not just about pain. These cramps can shake confidence, rob independence, and make something as simple as walking across the room feel like a challenge. Every cramp, every spasm, chips away at comfort and peace of mind. But here's where it gets interesting. What if I told you that doctors are now paying attention to one simple vitamin that could make all the difference? A vitamin that not only boosts your legs but can also help stop those painful cramps in their tracks. In this video you're going to discover exactly what that vitamin is, how it works inside the body, and how you or a loved one can start benefiting from it today. And I'll also share a surprising bonus tip most people overlook. Something so simple that it could change the way your muscles behave at night. So don't go anywhere. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge that might just turn restless, painful nights into peaceful, pain-free mornings. But before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Have you or someone you care about ever experienced these night cramps? Be honest, just type yes in the comments if you have. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button and join our family at Elderly Advice for Life, where every week we bring you practical tips to help seniors live healthier, stronger, and more confident lives. Now let's start with one of the most overlooked but most powerful nutrients for seniors, magnesium. Picture this with me. An older gentleman, let's call him Mr. Johnson. He's in his late 70s and has always loved tending to his little garden. It's his pride and joy, bright flowers in the spring, fresh tomatoes in the summer. But lately, every time he kneels down to pull weeds or stands up after watering his plants, his legs cramp so badly that he has to stop. The pain gets so intense he finds himself avoiding the garden altogether. For him, the cramps were stealing more than comfort, they were stealing joy. When he finally spoke to his doctor, the answer was surprising. He wasn't just tired. He wasn't just aging. He was low in magnesium. Now here's why this matters. Magnesium is like nature's muscle relaxer. It works quietly inside your body, helping your muscles loosen and contract the way they're supposed to. It also supports your nerves, allowing them to send signals smoothly between your brain and your muscles. Without enough magnesium, muscles tighten up uncontrollably, like a car engine running without oil. And when that happens, cramps strike, often at the worst possible times. At night when you're sleeping or when you're just trying to enjoy a simple walk. But here's the part many people get wrong. When cramps appear, most families immediately blame dehydration, thinking, maybe I didn't drink enough water today. Or they shrug and say, well, that's just part of getting older. But the truth is, cramps are not always about water, and they're definitely not something you have to accept as a normal part of aging. More often than you realize, they're your body's way of crying out for magnesium. The good news? Fixing this doesn't always require complicated treatments. It can start right at the dinner table. Foods like spinach, almonds, black beans, pumpkin seeds, and even a square of dark chocolate are rich in magnesium. And for some seniors, when the diet alone isn't enough, doctors may recommend magnesium supplements to help restore balance. Of course, it's always best to check with a healthcare professional before starting any supplement, but once magnesium levels improve, the difference can be life-changing. Cramps fade, energy returns, and everyday activities start to feel possible again. But magnesium doesn't work alone. The body is like a team, and magnesium has a powerful partner that helps it do its job even better. And that brings us to the next key vitamin. One that works hand in hand with magnesium to keep your legs strong and your nights peaceful. Now let's talk about another key player, vitamin D. Imagine this for a moment. A grandmother who used to walk proudly around her neighborhood now spends most of her days indoors. The television keeps her company, the curtains are often drawn, and the sunlight barely touches her skin. Slowly, she begins to notice something troubling. Her legs feel weaker than before. Standing up from a chair takes effort. Balance becomes tricky, and when she finally lies down to rest, painful cramps wake her in the middle of the night. To her family it looks like normal aging. But the truth is, her body is starving for vitamin D. Here's why vitamin D matters. It's not just the sunshine vitamin for strong bones like most people believe. It's actually the bridge that allows your body to use calcium and magnesium, the very minerals your muscles rely on to contract and relax smoothly. Without vitamin D, it's like having fuel in the tank but no spark to ignite the engine. Your muscles don't get what they need, and the result is weakness, instability, and yes, cramps that can steal your sleep and your peace of mind. But let's clear up a common misunderstanding. People often think vitamin D is only about bone health, something to prevent fractures and osteoporosis. While that's true, it's only part of the story. Vitamin D goes far beyond bones. It plays a direct role in muscle strength, nerve communication, and even coordination. That's why low vitamin D doesn't just mean fragile bones. It often means fragile muscles too. So what can you do about it? The simplest source is free, safe sunlight exposure. Just 10 to 15 minutes a few times a week can make a real difference, especially for seniors who don't get outside much. Foods can help too. Fortified milk, eggs, and certain types of fish are good natural sources. And when diet and sunlight aren't enough, doctors may recommend supplements to bring vitamin D back to healthy levels. It's a small step, but for many seniors it can restore strength, reduce cramps, and bring back confidence when walking. And speaking of confidence, there's another mineral that often gets overlooked in this conversation. It's one that partners directly with vitamin D to keep both your bones and your muscles working in harmony. I'm talking about calcium, the mineral that holds the key to stopping cramps before they begin. Now let's turn our attention to calcium, a mineral most people think they already understand, but one that has a deeper role than many realize. Have you ever noticed an elderly loved one whose legs feel weak, even though they eat well and seem to be getting enough food? They may complain about their muscles tightening, or they might struggle with small tasks like climbing a few steps or standing for longer than a minute. At first glance it's easy to think, well, that's just part of getting older. But often the hidden culprit is low calcium. Here's what most people don't know. Calcium isn't just about building and protecting strong bones. It's also a key player in how your muscles actually move. Think of calcium as the switch that tells your muscles when to contract and when to relax. Without enough calcium, that delicate balance is disrupted. Muscles may tighten when they shouldn't, and instead of smooth movement, you get painful spasms and cramps. Now, many families make the mistake of assuming that if someone is eating a decent diet, they must already have enough calcium. But the truth is, as we age, the body doesn't absorb calcium as efficiently as it used to. And when vitamin D is also low, which we just talked about, your body struggles even more to put calcium to good use. The result? Muscles that ache, legs that cramp, and nights that are anything but restful. The good news is, bringing calcium back into balance doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with simple, everyday foods. A glass of milk, a slice of cheese, or a serving of yogurt can all add to your calcium intake. Leafy greens like kale and broccoli are excellent sources too, especially for those who may not consume much dairy. And for some, calcium-fortified foods or supplements recommended by a doctor can provide that extra support the body needs. When the right balance of calcium is restored, seniors often notice more than just stronger bones. They feel steadier on their feet, their cramps become less frequent, and their muscles begin to respond the way they should. It's a reminder that calcium isn't only about what holds us up, it's also about how we move. Now, calcium is powerful, but there's one more vitamin that brings everything together. It doesn't just support bones or muscles. It ensures the nerves that connect them are firing the way they're supposed to. And that's where vitamin B12 steps in, the vitamin that ties everything together. Now let's talk about a vitamin that often goes unnoticed, yet it may be one of the most important for keeping both your muscles and your nerves working together. I'm talking about vitamin B12. Picture this. A retired schoolteacher, someone who has spent her life standing in front of a classroom, reading to children and walking the halls with confidence. But now, years later, she starts to notice something unusual. She trips more often when walking across the living room. Her legs feel heavier than before. At night, there's tingling in her feet, almost like pins and needles. She tells herself it's just clumsiness, maybe just the wear and tear of age. But when she finally sees her doctor, the real answer surprises her. She's low in vitamin B12. Here's why this matters so much. Vitamin B12 isn't just another nutrient. It's the spark that allows your nerves and your muscles to communicate properly. Without enough of it, the messages from your brain don't always reach your muscles the way they should. That miscommunication can lead to weakness, cramps, numbness, and even balance problems. In fact, many of the signs people often blame on just getting older, the fatigue, the stumbling, the sudden cramps, are actually red flags that the body is running low on B12. And that's where the misconception comes in. Too often, seniors and their families brush off these symptoms as nothing more than aging. They think, of course mom is tired, she's in her 70s, or, of course dad loses his balance sometimes, he's just getting older. But these symptoms don't always mean the body is wearing out, they can mean it's missing something vital. And the sooner you catch it, the more you can prevent those small struggles from turning into major health problems. So how do you get enough B12? For most people, it's found naturally in foods like eggs, fish, poultry, and dairy. But here's the challenge. Seniors often absorb less B12 from food because the stomach becomes less efficient at pulling it out. That's why some older adults may need supplements, or even B12 shots, depending on their doctor's advice. For vegetarians or vegans, supplements are especially important, since plant foods don't naturally contain B12. Restoring B12 levels can be life-changing. The tingling fades, the cramps lessen, and balance improves. Seniors begin to feel steadier, more alert, and more capable of doing the things they enjoy without the constant worry of their body betraying them. But even with the right vitamins in place, there's one more piece of the puzzle, a factor that is so simple yet so often overlooked. And without it, no amount of vitamins or minerals can fully stop those painful leg cramps. I'm talking about hydration and electrolytes. Now let's look at something so simple, yet so often overlooked, hydration and electrolytes. Think about this story. A senior man in his early 80s takes his vitamins every morning. He eats reasonably well, tries to stay active, and yet, every single night the cramps return. His family wonders if the supplements aren't working. But when they finally take a closer look, the real problem becomes clear. He barely drinks water. A few sips here and there, maybe a cup of tea in the afternoon, but not nearly enough to keep his muscles balanced. Here's why that matters. Your muscles don't just rely on vitamins and minerals like magnesium, calcium, and B12. They also depend on water and electrolytes to function properly. Electrolytes like potassium, sodium, and magnesium help keep the electrical signals in your muscles steady. When you're dehydrated or when those electrolytes run low, muscles misfire. They contract when they shouldn't. And that's when the cramps strike, suddenly, painfully, and often when you're trying to rest. But here's the misconception that many people fall into. They think that simply drinking more water will solve the problem. Water is important, yes, but water alone can't always replace the electrolytes your muscles need. Without enough potassium or sodium in the body, those leg cramps can continue, even if you've had several glasses of water that day. So what's the solution? It's about balance. Staying hydrated throughout the day is essential, not just when you feel thirsty. And adding foods rich in electrolytes can make a big difference. Bananas, oranges, avocados, and even a glass of milk can help replenish what your muscles need. For some seniors, low-sugar electrolyte drinks may also provide support. Just be mindful of options that don't overload the body with unnecessary sugars. The change can be remarkable. When hydration and electrolytes are in balance, those nighttime cramps often fade. Muscles recover more easily, movement feels smoother, and seniors regain the comfort of knowing their bodies won't betray them with sudden pain. So, what does all this mean for you and your loved ones? Let's bring it all together. To recap what we've shared today, magnesium, vitamin D, calcium, vitamin B12, and proper hydration with electrolytes are the 5 powerful keys that can help fight cramps and strengthen your legs. These aren't complicated medical secrets. They're everyday tools that, when used correctly, can change the way seniors move, rest, and live. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these do you think most seniors overlook the most? Is it magnesium, the natural muscle relaxer? Is it vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin? Could it be calcium, the one we often assume is only for bones? Or is it B12, the hidden nutrient that keeps nerves and muscles connected? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective, and your answers may even help someone else who's going through the same struggles. And if this video has been helpful to you, if you've learned something new today, then I invite you to subscribe to Elderly Advice for Life. Here we share practical tips and simple truths designed to help seniors live stronger, healthier, and more confident lives, one step at a time. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I truly believe that with love, awareness, and small daily changes, the golden years can still be full of strength, comfort, and dignity. Stay strong, stay informed, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.